I now recognize the ranking member from New York, Ms. Velasquez, to briefly introduce our last witness before appearing before us today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to introduce Mr. John Arensmeyer, the founder and CEO of the Small Business Majority. John launched the Small Business Majority 20 years ago, and he has built it into a nationally recognized organization focused on empowering America's entrepreneurs to build a thriving and equitable economy. He has become a leading advocate on critical policy issues affecting small business. Prior to that, John was the founder and CEO of an award-winning interactive communications company. With a background in business and public policy, John will be able to discuss the challenges and opportunities facing small businesses today. We are fortunate to have him here today. Thank you. I yield back.
I now recognize Mr. Arensmeyer for his 5-minute opening remarks.
Chairman Williams, Ranking Member Velasquez, and committee members, thank you for inviting me here today to speak to you. At Small Business Majority, we engage our network of more than 85,000 small businesses and 1,500 partner organizations to advocate for public policy solutions and deliver resources to entrepreneurs in order to promote dynamic small business growth. 21 million new businesses have been created in the past 4 years. We need to be doing everything we can to support these new enterprises by focusing on the issues that are impacting them the most. Regulation certainly can be a pain, but small business owners consistently rank regulations near the bottom of the list of many challenges they face. I'll be addressing some of the regulatory issues in a bit, but I want to make the point that businesses are much more concerned with the devastating impact of the Trump administration's slash-and-burn economic policies than they are about federal regulations. This is fueling extreme uncertainty and a severe drop in business confidence in surveys conducted by organizations across the ideological spectrum. Our own most recent survey shows a drop by 1/3 in optimism in the past 2 months alone and more than doubling in pessimism. For the first time in a long time, pessimism outranks optimism, and 44% have experienced revenue declines. On a daily basis, we are hearing fear and horror about the administration's arbitrary, chaotic, and unpredictable actions that are stabilizing the economy. These actions include onerous inflationary tariffs, terminating vital federal programs supporting entrepreneurs, slashing the SBA's workforce by 43% while piling on $1.6 trillion of unrelated student loan responsibilities, and mass deportations that exacerbate small businesses' existing workforce challenges. The tariffs are perhaps what we're hearing about the most. 77% of small businesses say the expanded tariffs will be detrimental to our economy. Nikki Bravo, owner of Momentum Coffee in Chicago, Margot Clayson, owner of the mighty Metro Green in Income, Idaho, and Mike Roach, owner of Paloma Clothing in Portland, Oregon, are worried that new tariffs could be devastating to their businesses. The same survey finds that 2/3 oppose the administration's policies, with more than 3/4 opposed to the SBA cuts. But back to regulations. Regulations are a necessary fact of life for small businesses, from food safety to responsible workplace practices to mitigating environmental harm to preventing financial scams. There's a legitimate need for government to ensure a healthy, competitive business landscape undergirded by a level playing field. The debate over regulation should not be ideological. Rather, it must be based on a case-by-case, pragmatic analysis. Because regulations can sometimes be burdensome, it's essential that we have a process to assess their costs and benefits. A one-size-fits-all indiscriminate deregulatory policy, such as eliminating 10 regulations for every one enacted, reflects a performative slash-and-burn approach to governing that has no relationship to actual business realities. Small businesses value fair and reasonable regulations that help them compete with large companies and establish clear, easy-to-follow rules of the road. They repeatedly point to the importance of regulations in both fostering competition and holding large corporations accountable. Our polling shows that 86% of small business owners agree that some regulation of business is necessary in a modern economy, and 93% agree that their business can live with regulations if they're fair, manageable, and reasonable. As such, we support efforts to ensure small business owners are more involved in the promulgation and implementation of new regulations. Existing regulatory structures should be strengthened, such as those under the Regulatory Flexibility Act, which requires a review of rules that will have significant impact on a substantial number of businesses within a 10-year period. Following the RFA along with proper coordination with the SBA's Independent Office of Advocacy enables agencies to ensure that regulations are not overly burdensome. Moreover, the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs provides additional insight in the federal rulemaking process. The previous administration recognized the importance of OIRA's key functions through an executive order encouraging agencies to take necessary steps to strengthen the regulatory review process with public involvement in rulemaking. Finally, Congress should consider solutions to help Main Street work within the regulatory requirements of their respective industries while maintaining a commitment to health, safety, and commercial standards. Small businesses need certainty, consistency, and clear guidelines from the government, not chaos and confusion. Congress should be hyper-focused on helping small business owners navigate the ever-changing and increasingly challenging economy while helping them find relief from tariffs and draconian budget cuts. I look forward to answering your questions.
Mr. Arensmeyer, what are your opinion polls showing? Are burdensome regulations one of the top priorities?
Ranking Member, we've been conducting polls of small business owners and surveys of our own network for the last 20 years. And we talk to small businesses every day. We do not hear certainly federal regulations listed as a top concern. It's access to capital, health care, child care is now a big issue, unfair competition on all of the...
Is it fair to say that small employers are worried about tariffs?
They are incredibly worried about
Are
tariffs.
small businesses concerned about remaining competitive and turning a profit?
Absolutely. The level of fear and uncertainty right now is incredible. We're hearing it every day.
Mr. Arensmeyer, in your testimony, you mentioned small employers need certainty. Could you describe how the policies of the Trump administration have sown confusion and disruption to small businesses?
Small business owners have no idea what's happening on a day-to-day basis. They don't know what tariffs are going to be hit with. They don't know if their employees are going to be legal immigrants are going to round it up from their businesses, and they don't know what next agency is going to be slashed. They cannot plan in this kind of environment.
And President Trump announced SBA will be taking on the $1.7 trillion student loan program. So I asked you, is SBA equipped, if that is the core mission of small business, of the Small Business Administration? It exists to help small businesses access capital, federal procurement, $1.7 trillion student loan program. Do you think this is consistent with the core mission of SBA? Do you believe the SBA can effectively support small businesses while taking on the student loan program and cutting staff by more than 40%, Mr. Arensmeyer?
It's mystifying, Congresswoman. We can't figure it out at all. I've talked about the growth in small businesses over the last 4 years. We need to be making sure we're supporting those businesses, and we need sufficient staff to do that. And why anybody thinks we take on a $1.6 trillion student loan program it boggles the mind.
And later this month, we will be marking up the Prove It Act. John, do you have a position on this bill?
Our feeling is that the structures that are in place right now are sufficient. If they're not being, we've heard that perhaps the RFA is not being sufficiently enforced. Let's increase enforcement. The previous administration took steps to improve the OIRA process. So we don't, if we layer another structure on top of this, there's going to be more confusion and more uncertainty for small businesses.
Mr. Arensmeyer, in your testimony, you speak on how the unpredictable nature of Trump administration's tariffs hurt small businesses. Can you speak more specifically about what you've heard from small businesses and what tariffs mean for local economies? We've heard some of that here in our committee, I can tell you, and how tariffs might make economic planning increasingly difficult for such businesses.
Well, we're hearing from small businesses on a regular basis that it's just, they have no idea how to plan. They have absolutely no idea to plan. They're worried about costs. They've already been dealing with inflation, and now they have to worry about, further inflation, if you will. We have $3.3 trillion worth of imports into this country, and it's just all through the economy. So, the average small business owner has all sorts of different ways that they're actually going to be impacted directly or indirectly by these tariffs, and they can't even begin to, think about it. They have to think about all their different supplies, all of the different things that they put into their product, and and they have no time to plan, and they don't know. It could change tomorrow. So it's probably the single biggest thing we're hearing from businesses right now.
Mr. Arensmeyer, many of my colleagues on this committee make regulations out to be this unyielding bureaucratic boogeyman for small businesses. But regulations can also benefit the economy through leveling the playing field, incentivizing innovation, and protecting American innovation from threats like the Chinese Communist Party stealing our intellectual property. Can you share some of the stories from small businesses within your organization?
I mean, again, it's about setting up a level playing field. And for example, in terms of lending, we see a lot of irresponsible lending going on, targeting the most vulnerable small business owners, and you need regulations in order to guard against that. Price discrimination that the FCC was attempting to deal with. Again, it's the role of government to step in and try to create a level playing field. Unequal franchise relationships, the list goes on, and that is a function of government to do that. And that's why we heard a lot about the cost of regulations, but it's really about a cost-benefit analysis. We're the first to argue that perhaps there are regulations out there where the cost is greater than the benefit, and we should look at those. But you've got to look at the benefit side. If you'd only look at the cost side of things, we wouldn't have had the PPP. Yes, the PPP created some obligations for small businesses, but it was a huge benefit as well. So just looking at the cost side of the Biden policies, there was a lot of manufacturing and other money that was passed by this Congress. Obviously, regulations came along with that. So again, across the board, we need to be looking at what are the benefits and what are the costs. And we are certain there are cases where the costs outweigh the benefits, and those should be addressed.
Yeah, I agree with that, and thank you. To continue on, Mr. Arensmeyer, on March 14th of 25, the President issued an executive order directing that Minority Business Development Agency, MBDA, be eliminated to the maximum extent consistent with applicable law. The agency, which was created by President Nixon in '69 and codified into law by Congress with bipartisan support in 2021, has been widely successful. In fact, in fiscal year 24 alone, the agency helped the country's more than 12 million minority businesses access $1.5 billion in capital and create or retain approximately 23,000 jobs. What message is the Trump administration sending to small businesses by eliminating the Minority Business Development Agency?
Well, as you mentioned, Congressman, the MBDA has done a lot of good work. They have 26 offices across the country that are serving small businesses. And on top of that, they were the conduit for a large chunk of the State Small Business Credit Initiative technical assistance money that, by the way, they haven't distributed all of it. You've got about $62 million sitting there. With them going away, who knows if that's going to get distributed. So they have performed a valuable function. Just to sort of wipe them off the face of the earth is absolutely not the way you're going to help small businesses.
With President Trump himself admitting that his tariffs will cause a period of transition, small businesses often operate on smaller margins than larger businesses, so a period of transition could be enough to force small businesses to close their doors permanently. Mr. Arensmeyer, again, could you describe how economic periods of short-term pain caused by tariffs will be especially impactful on small businesses?
Well, we've already seen a whipsawing of this, dating back even before President Trump took office. Small business, all of a sudden, we're saying we've got to go out and buy extra inventory, which is also inefficient in many cases. In some cases, the businesses don't have the cash to do that. And since President Trump's come into office, we've seen this whipsawing back and forth. Even today, tomorrow I guess is the big day, we're not really sure what's going to happen. And as I mentioned, you've got so many different elements in the supply chain that are impacted by these in many cases for small businesses might have multiple ones. They don't really know, depending on what the country it comes from, depending on what the product is. We've got an ice cream shop in our network, and he gets his sprinkles from Canada. I mean, who knew? I mean, so it's everywhere, and the more volatility you have, the more uncertainty based on country, based on product, it just makes it impossible for small businesses to do any kind of planning.